Why do we sit here being silent, watching our leaders turn into tyrants? Have they forgotten which side they're fighting for? Checks and balances set aside and rule of laws, youth and ours, and Constitution openly ignored. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Is it time for right and left to join a greater cause? Man, I'm not okay. The rich claim to be victimized just to attack the marginalized. This 1% really worth more than all the sick and poor. Always preaching about fellowship while planning their dictatorship. Now we've seen how all of this plays out before. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Time for you and I to join our country's call. Man, I'm not okay. Ever wonder all the mystery, why they whitewash our history, keep dividing is their plan? All in all, such a scam. Algorithm very sly, only used to spread the lies. Politicians know well, hate is simple to upsell. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Time for you and I to join our country's call.
We are not okay. America is not okay, and we all know that. Former Congressman Joe Walsh, this is The Social Contract with Joe Walsh. Let's figure out how to get okay together. Hey, I don't want to take up a whole heck of a lot of time this Friday. Thank you for joining me, by the way, everybody. I want you to be able to get to your weekend, enjoy your weekend, and get back into the fight come Monday to defend and preserve our democracy and the rule of law and all the rest. And I mean all of that. So I'm not going to take up a lot of your time this morning. Thanks for joining. I want to talk about what he said last night. I want to throw a few thoughts at you. I understand that probably most of you did not watch, and I get that. I understand that. I did. And even if you didn't watch, remember what I said yesterday, that I think it's really super important for all of us not to ignore what he did last night, not to ignore what he said last night. No, we've got an obligation to spread the word. If our objective, if our goal is to win in November, to defeat him and his party in November, if that's our goal, if that's our objective, if that's our be all end all, then we all have an obligation to inform our fellow citizens these next 3 to 4 months of every single stupid, selfish, cruel, ignorant, corrupt, lawless, anti-democratic, un-American thing he does. And it was all on display last night. Again, I don't know what, well, yeah, I do know the build up to the speech was he had the goods. I mean, think about that. The build up to Trump's speech last night was that he finally had it. He had the docs. He had the evidence that the 2020 election was stolen. It's all right here. That's what he said for a week, building up to that speech last night. So let's start there. And let me start really simply. And what I'm trying to do right now for the next 20 minutes is just give you like what you need to know, like what this all means and what you should be focused on. So let me start at the top. He presented zero evidence of anything. The end. I want to say that again really slowly. Donald Trump last night, it's right here. He presented zero evidence of anything. He presented zero evidence that the 2020 election was stolen. He presented zero evidence once again that he won the 2020 election and Joe Biden lost the 2020 election. None. Nada. Not a damn thing. Remember that. It's important. He supposedly unclassified right here a lot of documents. All documents that have been unclassified for 6 years. All documents containing information that our intelligence agencies have known for 6 and had for 6 years. Nothing new here at all. In fact, like he actually presented evidence last night that showed, follow me, that Putin and Russia did what they could in 2020 to help Trump get elected. That was in his stockpile of new evidence. The shit he put forward about what China did, what Iran did, what any of these foreign actors did, and he didn't even mention Russia or Putin, because Russia and Putin obviously trying to help him win. Nothing new, right? And by the way, he was president in 2020. It was his CIA, his FBI. They were aware of all of this. And by the way, I mentioned this again yesterday for everybody back there in the cheap seats. Trump's own CIA and his own FBI in 2020 and early 2021 said China did nothing to impact the result of the 2020 election. Donald Trump last night presented nothing new. He presented no evidence of anything. In fact, that was so clear that Fox News, that did cover his speech, ABC News and NBC News didn't cover it. Fox News even came on after the speech, and Fox News said, we are not in a position to verify anything the president said or claimed tonight. We haven't seen the evidence. We just don't know. We're not in a position to verify anything, which just cracked me up, right? $787 million later. That's what Fox News had to cough up after 2020, echoing Trump's stolen election lies. Even Fox News last night, out of the blocks after Trump was done speaking. We know nothing. Can't verify what he said. Second point. I mean, think about it on its face. What did Trump try to say last night? That there was great election fraud back in 2020 when he was president, and it led to a stolen election. But then all that election fraud was perfectly cleaned up when Joe Biden was president because there was no fraud in the 2024 election that Trump won. Do you understand, my friends, that that's what he's been trying to say now for a long, long time? The 2020 election was stolen. That happened while Trump was president. Huge election fraud. Then Joe Biden becomes president. We have another election in 2024. And dang gummit, there's no election fraud. Why? Because Trump won in 24. So because Trump won in 2024, there was no election fraud at all in 2024. So Joe Biden deserves a hell of a lot of credit for cleaning up all of that election fraud that was there when Trump was president in 2020. When you step back, and I know he's an idiot. It's understood. That's what he's saying. Point number 3. Do you understand why we're still here? And I'm not showing any clips from his speech last night. I'm not showing you any graphs, charts, anything, because it doesn't matter. Do you know why we're still here 6 years later? Why are we still doing this? Why are we still talking about the 2020 election? Why are we still talking about an election that Donald Trump lost? Why, oh, why are we still talking about an election that happened years ago? You know why? Because we're here because the biggest crybaby and the biggest sore loser in all of human history is not big enough, is not man enough, is not decent enough, and is not patriotic enough to simply accept an election loss. That's why we're here. We're here because Donald Trump cannot accept an election loss. Because he ain't big enough, he ain't man enough, he ain't decent enough. And yeah, I said it. He ain't patriotic enough. He does not love this country. I mean, for a guy who puts the country through this, a guy who continues to lie about an election that he lies about and says was stolen from him 6 years ago, a guy who will not accept an election loss, the will of the people, that's a guy, my friends, that does not love this country. I was on a show a few weeks ago when Trump was talking about how much these democratic socialists hate America. And I said, nobody hates this country more than a candidate who loses an election and refuses to accept the result. Nobody hates America more than that person. That's a middle finger to our democracy when you do that. That's a few AR-15 shots to a democracy. That's a stab in our democracy in the heart. You run for office, the people speak, the people have their say, have their day, and you don't accept what the people say. That's somebody who hates this country. That's why we're still here. He's the biggest crybaby, the biggest sore loser in all of human history. We're here because he needs his hugely fragile ego soothed, but also we're here because he's fucking with the elections this year. And what he did last night, again, was just all laying down the predicate to do the same thing this year that he did in 2020, because we know as much as we know today is Friday, as much as we know the sun's going to rise in the morning tomorrow morning again, we know Donald Trump will not accept the results of this election loss. We know for certain, man, that Donald Trump will scream stolen election this November when Republicans lose the House and or the Senate. We know it's going to happen. We know he won't accept the results, right? The magical thing's going to happen again. There was great fraud in 2020 when Trump was president and election was stolen. And then there was no more fraud in 2024 when Biden was president, because Trump won in 2024, so it wasn't a stolen election. So now Trump is president again, and there are elections again this year when Trump is president, and Trump's going to lose, and that means there was great election fraud again when Trump was president again. See, there's always election fraud when Trump loses, but Trump's president again. Why does all of this election fraud happen when Trump is president? For us, the important point is he's fucking with the midterms. He's going to try to cancel the midterms. Everything he's doing, troops on the ground, ICE doing their shit. What he's got secretaries of state doing in states all over this country, what he's done gutting the bipartisan Federal Elections Commission, what he's done, putting election deniers in charge of the election security division at DHS. Everything he's doing is to fuck with the result. The president of the United States right now, that guy who delivered that speech last night, right now is actively at war again against America's elections. So do not forget that. And by the way, our job, like we know he's going to try to cancel the midterms. And if he does, we all take to the streets and this thing's over. If he can't cancel the midterms and he just fucks with them and tries to cheat and doesn't accept the results and does all of that, our job is to make this 2026 election cycle victory too big, as Miles Taylor said, too big to rig. We've got to make this victory too big that even Trump trying to rig it doesn't impact it. So our job at the end of all of this is to just win, baby, right? What he did last night should not throw anybody off of what we have to do. Stay focused on what we have to do. Just win, baby, as Al Davis, the old Oakland Raiders owner, said. Just win, baby. Keep our head down, keep our eyes focused on the prize, vote, get everybody we know out to vote, and on a regular basis inform everybody we know of every lawless, corrupt, un-American, anti-democratic, cruel, dishonest thing Trump is doing and saying. Second to last point. Trump stood in front of the American people for 26 minutes last night. He didn't say a fucking word about you. Didn't say a damn word about you. Didn't say a word about you and your economy. Didn't say a word about you and your wages. Didn't say a word about you and your grocery list and what your grocery list cost you 2 days ago. Didn't say a word about rising inflation. Didn't say a word about everything costing more. Didn't say a word about the price at the pump. Didn't say a word about his stupid illegal war, which has, again, just devastated our economy. Didn't say a word about you trying to get access to decent healthcare. Didn't say a word, small business owner, about how his idiotic illegal tariffs have just fucked up your businesses this year. You're not hiring this year. Donald Trump last night stood in front of all of you, all of us, for 26 minutes. He didn't say a fucking word about any of us, about any of the struggles we're going through, anything that impacts our life. He stood in front of us for 26 minutes last night and he talked about himself. He talked about an election he lost 6 years ago. Is that what you want, America? I'm speaking, but I'm looking for something right now. Is that what you want? Do you want America? Do you want a president and a party, because he owns his party? He's the cult leader of his party. The party does whatever he tells the party to do. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? A president who doesn't talk about you, a president who doesn't care about you. Is that what you want? I think I found what I'm looking for. There it is. Okay, don't go anywhere, guys. I mean, I don't know about you, American voter. I want a president focused on the American people. I want a president who will stand in front of the American people for 26 minutes and talk about how he's doing everything to try to help improve the lives of us. That's what I want. Classfeld reports. There I go. Sorry, gang. I'm looking for one other thing here. There, I got it. Okay. Right? Do you want a president focused on you, or do you want a president focused on him? Do you want a president focused on him 24/7 or focused on you, the American people, 24/7? You decide in November, America. Final thought on last night. A hat tip to Adam Klesfeld at Klesfeld Reports. Important context for Trump's speech last night. Remember, gang, Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. He knew he lost the 2020 election, and he committed crimes trying to overthrow the election. From Jack Smith's indictment against Donald Trump, remember these words as you head into your weekend. The defendant, Donald J. Trump, was the 45th president of the United States and a candidate for re-election in 2020. The defendant lost the 2020 presidential election. Despite having lost, the defendant was determined to remain in power. So for more than 2 months following Election Day on November 3rd, 2020, the defendant spread lies that there had been outcome determinative fraud in the election and that he had actually won. These claims were false, and the defendant knew that they were false. But the defendant repeatedly and widely spread these false claims. The indictment against Donald Trump. He lost. He knew he lost. He knowingly spread lies to try to stay in power. He knew he lost. Unless we forget that guy, the guy who stood in front of you for 26 minutes last night, was criminally indicted on 4 counts. Conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, conspiracy against rights. That guy who stood in front of you, America, for 26 minutes last night, knew 6 years ago he lost, knowingly spread lies, all to remain in power. And he was criminally indicted on 4 counts because of that. He should be in jail. So stay focused. Just win, baby. Our job is to win in November. Thank you for listening. 2 quickies, my Substack, Social Contract with Joe Walsh, socialcontractwithjoewalsh.substack.com. Help me keep my voice out there. Subscribe to my Substack as always. And if you want to shoot me an email about anything, please do. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh at gmail.com. That's all one word too. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh at gmail.com. Have a great, great weekend. Thanks for listening. Be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, follow, and share The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple, Spotify. Plus, don't forget to subscribe to The Social Contract on Substack. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.